All right. Morning again, once again, students. Welcome to your second set of lecture notes. In these videos, like I said, 15-minute lectures. We're going to cover the following topics. We're going to cover introduction to the legal PNG legal system in this topic, and also I will basically look at the how to read law lectures that I've covered. All right. If you see the slide there, it's introduction to the PNG legal system. Firstly, would note that in PNG, laws can be categorized into the subject matter they regulate or they're concerned with. This is because we cannot study the law like as a complete body on its own. So we must break down the concept of the law into different categories, different subject matters, which enables us or enables our understanding to basically understand what the different areas of law are in sort of different settings, or basically try to demarcate the different types of law that applies to different areas as well. All right, the first major divide that we have is public law and private law. So public law is defined as laws which apply only to the activities of state bodies or those performing public functions, or the law regulating the relation between individuals and the state, and the identification and regulation of the state bodies and powers. An example of a public law would be constitutional law because it deals with public bodies. So public-private divide. In public law, laws that deals with the powers and functions of relationship with the state. And you would definitely note that a classical example is constitutional law, administrative law. This is all public law. Or in terms of private law, the Cambridge Dictionary defines private law as the area of law that deals with disagreements between people or companies rather than disagreements that include the government. So when you talk about a legal person in law, companies in law are legal person as well, and they're recognized as a legal person. So private law deals with relationship between individuals or individuals and companies. So a classical example of a branch of private law is the law of contracts. The law of contracts sets out the body of principles, rules that govern the law of agreements made between two or more organizations. So that's the basic divide. If someone tells you that it's constitutional law or private law, you know that yes, it's a body of law, but it comes under private law. If they tell you what is the law of contracts or what is the tort, you know that these are laws that come under private law. International law and national law. So international law can be defined as rules governing the legal relationship between nations and states. We also know that basically what happens is laws that international laws apply unequivocally over a diverse group of nations. So basically, it's a law that applies in the international level and binds all states in the event that they adopt it or ratified. So a classical example of international law is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons Living with Disabilities. And a national law is a law that applies within a country. So a classical national law would be the PNG Criminal Code, the PNG Constitution. These are all national law as well. All right, now we go on to the great divide between criminal law and civil law. You would note that the word civil law, when you use it in the context, it has two sort of meanings or two sorts of applications. The first one is the civil law as opposed to the common law. So the UK was the basis for the common law, and the French and other European countries, they practice civil law. So civil law must not be confused by the civil law that we are talking about here. In here, we are talking about civil law as opposed to criminal law. So you would see that civil law is restricted to a domestic setting, for example, non-criminal law, and designed to be happen as well. So basically, you see a very exhaustive definition of what the distinction, the parameters between civil law and common law here. Gerald basically states that the object of civil law is the redress of wrongs by compelling compensation and restitution. For instance, if there's a breach of contract, civil law says that you must pay the damages owed under the contract or the compensation owed under the contract. And criminal law is the law that applies to punish the wrongdoer, to give him an inducement so that he or she does not commit the crime again. So criminal law deals with all the criminal offenses. Criminal offenses in Papua New Guinea are specified by the Criminal Code Act. In short, we call it the Criminal Code. So willful murder, homicide, rape, armed robbery, all of these are criminal laws, and they're prosecuted in the criminal court, in the criminal justice system. Okay, civil law is the law of torts, law of contracts. They are prosecuted, they are sort of dealt with in the civil track or civil court matters. So this is the basic difference between civil law and criminal law. All right, to sort of further sort of enhance your understanding of these concepts, I've used two case scenarios there. Basically, if it comes in the exam, you know what to do and how to go about approaching the questions. All right, let's look at civil law, for example. A agreed to buy a car from B for 300 kina. If A pays B 300 kina and B does not deliver the car to A, then B is in breach of contract. Civil law applies in this matter and will often be called a civil dispute. So our court will most likely order B to deliver the car to A or return A's money. All right, criminal law, you see that if A defendant kills B, the victim or deceased, intentionally, A will be charged with willful murder in imprisoned by the police. These actions are criminal in nature. As a result, they will fall within the parameters ambit of the criminal code, and also the matters will be brought before a magistrate or a judge, and if found guilty for the crime, will be punished accordingly, and he'll be sentenced to jail to serve out his or her term. So that's basically a rundown on the PhD legal system. In your next slide, we will go on to look at the economic and political history of Papua New Guinea.